to hit my little button. Okay, let's pray. Oh God, you made us in your own image and redeemed us through Jesus, our Son, your Son. Look with compassion on the whole human family. Take away the arrogance and hatred which infect our hearts. Break down the walls that separate us. Unite us in bonds of love, and work through our struggle and confusion to accomplish your purpose on earth. That in your good time all nations and races may serve you in harmony around your heavenly throne. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Okay, thank you, Cherie. What we have planned today, and if technology works with us, it's going to be awesome. David Evans took snippets of each of our presentations from this year and put them in a video clip. With the exception of Reverend Rachel Hebert, who did the PowerPoint presentation on the Enneagram, we have all the other speakers. And what we're thinking about doing is showing the film, watching maybe 2 clips, which might be 4 minutes, talk about it, then go on to the next. But the question I would hope that all of you would keep in your minds as you watch is, if I saw this whole presentation, did it have impact? And what was it that I got from it? And if I didn't see it, is there anything there that I would go back to find out more about? Because after 3 years, we want to make sure that we're really working on bringing spiritual information and assistance and sharing that's meaningful to you, because it's all about all of us coming together. So now we get to do the exciting thing to see if I can share a screen. So if you hear me crying, just keep on talking to me. Okay. There we go. Oops, there we are.
Who's doing it? You or Sven?
That metaphor that Paul uses here, that small man uses, that metaphor of taking off something and putting on something. Okay, so when we go on a journey, I mean, you've all flied in an airplane somewhere or went on a journey. Well, what's the first thing you do? You say, what am I going to wear? Right? You pack that suitcase with all the clothes you're going to wear. Because spirituality has to do with how we clothe ourselves. What do we clothe ourselves with as we walk this journey in life? And that's for me, it's been quite an eclectic journey. And as Paul says, a lot of people think that might think this way. Well, I'll put on my spiritual identity over top my other identity. Well, Paul says first you got to take something off before you can put something on. And isn't that true? When you change outfits, you don't put your new clothes over those dirty old clothes that you wore yesterday. You put on a new outfit. You put on new clothes to get you through that particular day. And so as I look at the journey that Creator has had me on, I think of all the different times I've had to change my clothes. I've had to rethink my spirituality.
You can find many examples of art that has deliberate errors to signify that humans cannot create anything perfect. Perfection is a work of God. And in the Japanese culture, something broken is not less than. Kintsugi is the ancient art of repairing something that is broken with gold, of seeing the beauty of imperfection. Within a network of living systems, without judgment, rather than picturing ourselves as the center of the universe, or maybe on the outside edge, it changes how we view ourselves, other people, and the world. We really may take time then to reflect, to see, and to appreciate. To take that pause where we really do listen to other people and consider their views rather than focusing on our own. According to a 2015 Microsoft Corporation study, the human attention span at that point when this research was published was 8.25 seconds, which is 5.25 seconds less than in 2000, and a decrease of 25% in comparison. So by now, this may have changed even more. In comparison, the goldfish has a 9-second attention span. If we move towards a more mindful state of being, that enables us to stay in the moment in a much more open way, accepting ourselves, other people, and these intersections much less conditionally. What if Jesus Christ himself, and the symbol of crucifixion, represents an intersection of time and space where human awareness changed? When we lift ourselves and our circumstances above ourselves into this awareness, we can approach conflict and disruption as processes rather than making them personal. Friar Michael Judge was a Franciscan priest and chaplain to the New York City Fire Department. He was also the first recorded casualty of the 9/11 attacks, running into the North Tower with firemen, and I bring him up as a pure example of love in action. This is a prayer he wrote. I actually keep this in my wallet as a reminder every day.
Okay, you can pause, Ken.
Yep. Give me a second. I will do so.
Okay. Wow. That was the first two. Anything stand out?
My first experience was Terry Wildman with Breath of Fresh Air. In fact, we were a friend of mine. We went to visit some. We drove to St. Louis, Missouri. They were on a cross the country bike ride, and so we decided to go out, and we hadn't seen him in a couple months, and we went out there. But I said, I really, because Terry had invited me to do this. I said, I've got to do this. So I sat in my friend's home, her parents' home, and watched Terry Wildman, and it just blew me away. I bought the book. He's the author of the First Nations version of the New Testament. We actually read. The Lutheran Church, I'm Lutheran, but the Lutheran Church has just launched a truth and healing movement with the indigenous people. And so last week we had a land acknowledgement for our fellowship, talking about the land that we were on. But we actually read the gospel out of his book. And I just, when he talked about, taking off and putting on new things, he was just phenomenal. I just really enjoyed that. So I would recommend it to anybody that didn't see him. He was wonderful.
And remember, all this is on the Abingdon website. So you just go to our Abingdon website. On the opening page, it has Facebook or YouTube. You hit either one and you can come up with all of the Breath of Fresh Air presentations this year. Any other comments? Thank you, Janet. Peggy?
I don't know why I missed, but the second one I did not see. So that she was just amazing. Listening to the first part of her, I really liked Michael's prayer. I really like that. I'm the type that keeps prayers in my wallet too. I like that one, but I would have liked to have heard a little bit more of her. I think there's so much about mindfulness now, and that's accept ourselves and others. And but I think mindfulness is all around us. But I wish I had seen her because she was very good from what I saw.
Well, it's not too late. You can always go back and watch the whole thing.
Okay.
Any other comments?
Good. remind me, Terry Wildman's presentation that we just saw remind me when I was in elementary school back in those days, at least the Chesapeake City schools were doing inoculations and heart tests and those kinds of things, sort of a public health thing. And I was at that, maybe it was first grade or second grade. I think it was first maybe, but I hated cold mornings. I still don't like cold. And so one day I decided that I wasn't going to take my pajamas off. I left my pajamas on and I put my good clothes over those pajamas. And it happened to be the very day that we all had to line up and go to the library and strip down for some kind of physical down to our underwear. And of course, my classmates and my teacher and the school nurse were like, why do you have pajamas on? And so when he was talking about that, it just made me flash back to that, but also, bring it forward of so many times I'll see something interesting and I'll say, oh, let me add on that Franciscan prayer, or let me add on that Buddhist, or let me add on this whatever. And I realized that I just don't have the capacity for it. So it sort of fits in with Lisa Hubel's presentation of, do I give myself time to take something off and value it for what it was and recognize there's a time and a place for it, but then allow myself to drink deeply from the experience that I'm in. So.
Thank you. Any comments about Lisa Hubel? I thought Terry Wildman was awesome as well. And Lisa had so much to offer. What the team did is we each took a video and wrote down the most important segments and then gave it to David, the magician, who put it all together. And there were a lot of phone calls back and forth. It's all good. I'm like, I know. But you got to pick the best so that people will go back and look. Natalie?
Janet, I just want to say one thing. I know you had your hand up first.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah, I had to do Lisa. And it was like, I think it ended up like the entire team ended up doing Lisa because it was all, so good. I mean, trying to pick out, but I really liked what she said about intersections and about seeing ourselves within a system and not personalizing change, basically. So anyway, Terry, can I hand off to Janet do I have your permission to hand off to Janet?
I just have a short comment. The art that you talked about, that kintsugi, we were on my first medical mission trip to Guatemala, and one of the men did a devotion on that beautiful art. I mean, it's if y'all have ever seen some of those pieces, they're absolutely exquisite, where they've filled in the cracks with gold and stuff. And I just love that image of, that we're all broken, but yet we can be, put back together and stuff. I love that image. So.
Okay, we ready to try the second section? Gods of Technology, make it happen.
A life-changing event for me was when a child was born to us, and he came with abilities and gifts that I couldn't comprehend. The only way I could understand it was through understanding a Christian paradigm. It was expansive, and ultimately it expanded my understanding of an infinite God who has many, many names. And I honor all those names, and I honor all those expressions. So I guess it was the child and his messages, I guess. It was very different.
I'm going to interrupt you a little bit. Cynthia, can you give us some examples of what you were experiencing with your child?
Yes. He knew things. He saw things. And I had to be sure he wasn't delusional. I had to be sure he didn't have brain tumors. I had to be sure of many, many things that could be acceptable in our Western civilization, in our Western culture. So I explored, and I brought him to, the first one was I brought him to his pediatrician, his doctor, a very kind Catholic man. At that point, our son was able to discern, to see physical and emotional and spiritual pain. Or I tell everybody, have great hope, have great strength, because there's so many of these children of God coming to this earth, and they are here to help and guide us. And their greatest lesson is love, and it is kindness, even in the face of the persecution and the hostilities.
Same time, I was working out in Sun City, and I worked at a restaurant, and there's a lady that told her story to me. And she talked about how she drank like I did, and she didn't drink anymore. And so that restaurant closed down, but I kept her number. She gave me her number. Well, don't you know, when I started going to that treatment center, outpatient, and they had us go to some meetings on the weekend, she was there. And it'd be like whatever meeting I'd end up going to, it was like this lady was there. And, you know, it was just like God was doing things in my life. God put these people in my life, and you know, and then I went in and out for like 5 more years, and I had to do some more drinking and drugging, but I was just about dead, and I asked God to help me, and I don't know what happened. I didn't get a bright light or anything like that. Something changed, and that I was 28 years old. I was living in this little duplex, and I was going to gas myself. And but I turned off the gas, and I called a program, and I something changed in me, and I was willing to do what they told me to do, and to change my life. And but also what I didn't realize that night was God took the obsession to drink and drug away from me that night. Didn't realize it at that time, but then it's like when I look back, that's what happened. And so I really did have a miracle. And so I, you know, I was like, hadn't taken a drink or drug for a couple months. And I went to this meeting, and they were all talking about how God was working in their life. And in the particular program I'm in, they have steps that you work and to help you to become closer to God, help clean house, and how to work with others. But they were all talking that particular night about how God was working in your life. That was the topic. And I got so frazzled that night, because it's like, well, how do I know? You know? So I went up to this gentleman that, and I asked him, I go, how do I know if God's working in my life? And he goes, well, honey, did you drink today? And I said, well, no. And he goes, well, I guess he's working in your life. And it was like, oh my God, the light bulb went off, you know? And so, I had, that was in well, I came in and got sober in 1985, Christmas Day of 1980.
Wow. Okay, so the first person was Cynthia Hastings, and she was talking about her son, John, who she recognized early had some discernment gift, and she was very dogged in finding out if he was okay. But she gave us a lot of examples throughout that presentation about how John became a nurse, and he kind of hides his gift because he doesn't want to frighten people. But she was also warned people won't like it, and it could put him in danger. which I find amazing that if someone has a skill and a gift, that they have to worry about sharing it. And we asked Cynthia to come back, and she said, I've said all I'm allowed to say about that. So it was a shortened video that day, but she gave us a lot of meat. And then the second person was Bev Russell, who, as you understand now, is went through AA. And I think my favorite statement from her is, how is God's working in your life? I think that's a great question. So do you want to talk about any of those things?
So Terry, if we're thinking on the topic, what about some of our survey questions that might help us?
Definitely. Thank you. One of the things that we did when we first started with women's spirituality is we came up with kind of a survey, and I will send this out to you again after today's meeting. But we had maybe 7 questions to look at, and let's look at a couple of them. In your own spiritual wellness, what gives your life meaning and purpose? I don't expect an immediate answer, but what gives your life meaning and purpose? And another one was, what gives you hope? Natalie?
So of course I'm not asking the questions. I'm going back to Cynthia Hastings, and let's see. Well, I'm a nurse, but I don't have any special abilities like she's talking about with her son. You can straighten that out. But I don't know if I understand, but I philosophically, I guess, comprehend why he needs to hide his gift. Because as humans, we don't seem to be able to tolerate a lot of times the truth. And somebody like him has a lot of truth. And not forceful truth. He just has truth and things that we may not want to hear. And unfortunately, I think there's some of us who would respond to that actually in a violent way. So keeping it, being mum about it, being strategic about when it's shared. I mean, I think so I'm not sure. I think everybody here is from a Christian discipline, maybe, but Christ certainly, he certainly, at least what's written, he certainly told his disciples, don't tell anybody yet. I'm not ready, because he knew that folks weren't ready to accept what he had to say.
Awesome points, Natalie.
Hi, this is Pat McMillan, driving on I-68 towards Cumberland, Maryland. I think Natalie's absolutely right. And I mean, we can only go back to the witch trials, right? People who were thought to perceive things were too scary, and it must be evil that they had those powers. But I thought of all the speakers I heard, I thought she was the most difficult to understand and connect with. But I mean, it evolved over the thing. I think she just had to be so careful to respect her son's privacy that it was hard for her to really go into depth.
I agree. Janet?
Didn't she say that she no longer does that because he doesn't want her to do that? Didn't she say that at the end, that she no longer she doesn't share what he does or something? I don't know.
Right.
But I go back to Father John Rigel, he was the priest at St. Therese for a long time, and I played over there for a long time, but he said once, he said, we should never question how God interacts with anybody, and how God works in anybody's life, and to be able to be bold enough to talk about what she feels is clearly a, discernment is definitely a spiritual gift, and maybe, I think so many times we don't think those things are possible, but anything's possible with God. And so I really enjoyed that presentation, and for her to share with us what she experienced. And I think to honor her son now and let him tell his own story, let him tell his own story. I think that's very important also. But I thoroughly enjoyed both that and the woman, her story of how she became clean, and how God has worked in her life this entire time and stuff. So God's out there doing wonderful things with people. So anyway.
Well, and isn't that funny how those two pieces, we just did it in the order of what happened over the season. We didn't adjust them according to theme. But I think it's interesting that both of them had God in their lives, and one showed it as a gift, and the other one became aware of how God constantly works through her and brought her to health. I don't know how to express it any differently, but I just thought that it was interesting that they ended up being a good pairing.
Yeah.
Thoughts.
Absolutely.
Natalie.
Two overt miracles.
Yep, very. Okay.
Peggy has
yes,
her hand
Peggy.
up.
I was just going to say how brave of the lady with her son, to go to different doctors and to not keep this to herself, to protect her son. I mean, to go to different doctors and to tell different people that is brave to do as a parent, I would think, as a mother, to tell people about this. Am I right? Is this the right thing to do? Is this true? Do I see this? And she recognized it early on, but I admire her for that.
And in the full presentation, she said that one of the last people they went to see was a doctor, and his test was to ask her son, "What do you see about me?" And she said when he finished, the doctor just went over and hugged him and said, "That's all 100%. You got it. That's who I am." And I was like, okay. And then he's the one that said, make sure the government doesn't get a hold of him. Make sure no one else comes after him, because they're going to want to know how it works.
Wow.
And all of a sudden I just get into, how we cage animals and then say, okay, what happens if we do this to them? What happens if we do that to them? Would they do that? Wouldn't they do that to a person as well to test their gift? It's kind of frightening. Janet.
But, Jesus did that with the woman at the well. She goes back and says, he's told me everything about me. And I think it was a woman at the well. Yeah. And, so why do we think, we're any different? I don't know. So anyway.
Well, at some point in Jesus's preaching, didn't he say we all have these gifts?
Yeah.
We all can do these things. And you don't see it happening. So obviously we're not delving into our gifts deeply enough to find all that.
Or having the faith to do that. Have that
and courage.
He said that just a minuscule little piece of faith, and you can tell this, the things that you can do with is just a small bit of faith, so anyway.
Natalie.
Yeah, I need some help from Sin and maybe from Janet. There are people in the Bible who Jesus did call, and they were like, really? Not me. I can't do that. You sure? I don't want to do that. That's too dangerous. They're going to kill me if I do that.
Yeah. Well, that takes us right into the next two questions on the survey is, how do I get through tough times? Where do I find comfort? Am I tolerant of other people's views about life issues? We're kind of dancing around those questions too. Where do some of you find comfort?
This is Pat. Well, I find comfort in my worship community and in
We're losing your audio. She is traveling in a car, so heaven knows what's happening.
In the mountains.
In the mountains.
Lots of dead zones.
Yeah. She'll have to come back maybe.
Terry, why don't we go on with the next two?
Okay.
Two.
All right, we're gonna, Pat, we didn't get any of that. So can you hear us? No. Okay. We're gonna be rude to my sister and go on to the next clip.
Think of as spirituality is that I'm claiming the power of God. Love is another word for God in my mind. And I'm claiming that power to overcome and dissolve my self-centered fear or resentments. And so I want to show a little picture of who we are when we are, you know, those prayers that says, thy will be done, right? I mean, we're always saying that. And in my mind, my spirit, I feel like to do God's will is to love God and love one another. It is pretty simple. And we'll talk about what gets in the way of that in a minute. But this is my little picture of an open-hearted person. Used to be a girl, but for the book, I had to make it general neutral. So you see all the little hearts. That is God's love, spiritual love, always available to us, always trying to come into our lives. And when we allow it in, you see a little heart there. Ooh, it's completely open and it's filled up with love and care. And notice the arrows coming out so we're able to give love to other people because there are no obstructions here. So in a way, this is what we're striving for, right? Now, are we that way all the time? No, because I am a spiritual being having a human experience and I'm in this body and I have my instincts for survival and competition and, you know, all kinds of things that can get in the way of this flow. So I really believe that this state is our natural state, that I am a beloved child of God. Each of you is a beloved child of God, completely perfect. And that is eternal and true, and nothing can ruin it. We can forget it. We can block it a little with our own will, but for me, this is my own take, okay? But I feel like I'm God's treasure. God created a treasure here, and it's my job to get the blockages to expressing that love.
I grew up with different ideas about what was happening in the world. The expressions about you need to have a job to get a job, or you need to experience to have more experience. And how do you get experience? And how do you get a new job if you have a job? Like how many appointments could you have? You know, this is at the time when you had to say you had a doctor's appointment or something. They're going to think there's something really wrong with you if you keep on lying about appointments. I never understood those things. So I just kind of operated different. I traveled a lot in the 80s, and I just took it upon myself. When I wanted something, I just went for it. And I was an incredible manifester, like we all are, but I manifested what I wanted. And then I forgot. Then I kind of got into my life and I forgot how powerful I was. And I was reminded when I was feeling powerless and feeling in myself that I needed to come back out. And, going back to the principles in Your Erroneous Souls about not allowing others to have an impact on how you're feeling. It's just taken off from there. And from there, I became a therapeutic touch practitioner. And then I was introduced to tapping in 1999. And so I've been tapping and doing brain gym, and all of these modalities came to me. And I really lived my life different than other people, like not towing the line. And I didn't know why that was. And I realized that my role here is to shine the light for other people, to help people see that we are all magnificent. We are all incredible. And if we allow ourselves, once we get out of the way and really, I guess, allow spirit to come in and guide us and listen to our intuition, I feel like those skills or those intuitive practices have been squished out of us. When we have that feeling in our stomach, we think maybe it's indigestion or something, rather than, oh, maybe this isn't for me. I don't think we take time now to really listen to what is best for us. We're always looking at, oh, what do they have? I want what they have. And we don't really necessarily want what they have. We just think that we do.
Two very different people, Gigi Langer and Kathy Nesbitt. Any commonalities in their messages? Janet?
I definitely think so. Because I think we, the saying that we are, we're all God's treasure. We're enough. We're beloved children of God. I thought that was that was definitely, just by watching those. I didn't see the first one. I saw the second one, but just similar in how we are God's beloved children, and we need to share that love with others. So.
Natalie?
I think Kathy Nesbitt could have very easily used, Langhorne, the previous speaker. Gigi's postcard. I thought they were quite synonymous with each other. And I thought Kathy, when she talked about, you got to have a job to get a job. You got to have experience to get experience. So when I got out of college, I was like, well, I need a job, but I don't really have any experience. So how do I get that if I don't have a job? So I thought that those comments she made were like, yeah, really contradictory. I mean, you don't, how do you get credit if you don't have credit? If you don't want a credit card, the government or the credit card company doesn't have any history of you, so you can't put that on the back application. So they think you're unreliable. It's crazy. Yeah, they were.
Well, Gigi, wrote two books. One is Worry Less Now, and the other one is Love More Now. And Pat put in the chat box that she bought one of the books and talks about techniques to get to center, and that Gigi's book lists about 50 different techniques to come to center. And if you recall, Gigi was the woman that got married 4 times. What was the common factor in all those marriages? Gigi. So she said once she got herself together, things stuck together better. Some of the other questions that were on the survey, I think that when I send this back to you, you're going to go, yeah, that got all covered. How do I make attempts to expand my awareness of different ethnic, racial, and religious groups? How do I make time for relaxation in my day? And do my values guide my decisions and actions? Some heavy questions, really. I think we could do a seminar on each one of them. So the real goal for our team on this Breath of Fresh Air was that we hoped that you participants not only thank you for coming for most of the episodes, and if you missed one or two, or if you only saw one, we're so grateful that you found us and are here today. What we want to know now is, as we proceed for the next season, which will start in September, are there people that you would like to suggest that you think have a story, like you've just seen these last 6 stories or 7 stories? Is there a story you would think that they could share with others that would help us all in our spiritual journey? Are you a person that has a story that you'd be willing to share? I think we all have a story. And if we were in a party and got in a corner and started talking, we would find out tons of things about each other. But then if I said, oh, that's great, come on to Breath of Fresh Air and share that. And then people just go, not me. I'm hoping that we've created a safe space where you don't have to feel that way. But can I get some input from you and the team on things that you would like to see happen in the next season? In the chat room, I have someone that has been asked, I think Pat asked if we could check with a friend of hers, and I will get that name down and we'll follow it up, Reverend Penelope Gladwell. And they don't have to be religious people. We started out that way because that's who we knew. And then Winona really spread our wings and just started going to websites that talked about spirituality and contacting people that offered stuff like that. So I'm going to give you the opportunity. I'll be quiet so you have a chance to think and participate. And while you're thinking about that, is Saturday morning at 10 o'clock a good time to do this? Is that, I mean, we all have busy lives, but we're trying to find a time that the most people could participate. Hey, Susan.
Hi. Not going to be with you a lot this past year, but I'm thinking that possibly somewhere along the year, inviting Kathy, I believe her last name is Ellis, for the Diocese of Virginia Creation Care Committee, if you look it up. And she is the person that is spirituality and creation care.
Oh.
And I did a course with them over Lent that I found very interesting. It was a book study, so it'd be too much to go into. But tapping into.
I'm sorry, Susan. What's her name again?
It's first name is Kathy, and I believe last name is Ellis. But I can send you that information. She's listed on the Diocese of Virginia's Creation Care Committee webpage.
All right, thank you.
Terry, let's see, I think your sister put in the chat, Reverend Ann Weatherholt. Okay.
Thank you.
And again, we are a women's spirituality group. We are based out of Abington Church. But if there's you or yourself or you know someone who doesn't necessarily have a deity in front of or behind their name, because Kathy Nesbitt, she has she does the laughter yoga, right? Kathy Nesbitt does.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then let's see, Cynthia Hastings. I don't think she's a pastor. So we and
she's a professor. Cynthia Hastings? No, she's not.
No. Right. So also, do we have we started taping last year, right? So there are 6 or 7 presentations from our 2021-22 season, that would be. Anyway, it's at the website.
Right.
A lot of our people are not, like I said, they're not necessarily pastors. They just have spiritual experiences. And as we know, those we give Spin a break at our church. He doesn't have to be the only person who has a spiritual experience. And we tell him about it too. So we don't always give him a break, but so and I think we probably don't need, we would like to hear from you during the summer. If you can't think of anybody now, that's fine, but we would like to have the ideas be expanded outside of the current team, because that's part of inclusivity, we think.
Right. And when we send out the survey, would most of you be willing to share your answers? You don't have to. I mean, I'm not going to post them or anything, but it'd be nice to kind of get a general response to things, and then I can send out a summation of what people thought worked and what people suggested. But I'm going to send it out to everybody on the list, and hopefully the 10 of you will also respond. I don't know what else to say about Breath of Fresh Air, except this has been a tremendous experience, I know, for our team. We have bumped into so many amazing people, and I'm excited that people come from all over the world. We've had people from Australia, Michigan, California. If you're outside of Virginia, you're out of the world for me. So I really appreciate your stick-to-itiveness. We're not the best, we're not the smoothest, but we have the best intentions. And I think that to a speaker, all of them, when we met with them after the meeting, would say, thank you for such a safe space. And what a wonderful thing you folks are doing. And that was our goal. And it's working, and we're very pleased. We're getting down to our last 8 minutes. We try to respect your time. Is there anything that anyone would like to share about their experience of being in Fresh Air this year? Peggy.
Okay, I really like this year how we went into the small groups.
Yes.
I thought that was very positive. You just get to, like, I'm on the other side. I'm from Virginia Beach, but so I met more people that way, and I like getting in the smaller groups where the speaker talks, but yet we get a chance to speak as well. So that was a positive thing for me.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Janet?
Well, this is, like I said, this was my first year with it. I invited Barbara. She's on today. She's a friend of mine, and she's on today with us. And then like Peggy said, the small groups. I got to talk to Natalie. I'd never talked to Natalie, and we had a wonderful conversation in the small group and stuff. And it's given. What I love about it gives you things to think about, and things that you probably wouldn't normally think about, and people and stuff. It's just, I've really, really enjoyed being part of this. So thank you very much. Appreciate that.
I don't know if you all are looking at the chats, but Pat said, "You've become a community for me. I have real affection for the participants." And that's what I've carried away from this. People that I have never physically met, I feel a very deep connection to after we did our small group and shared our stories. And thank you, Sue, for sending me Kathy Ellis's information. Well, anyone have anything to say, or are we going to say good night or good day and let you get on with your possibly rainy Sunday? Yes, Sue.
I was just getting ready to try to type up in the chat, but since we're not getting together again until September, I'd like everyone to think about putting the Tridiocesan Fall Camp at Trimont on your calendar. It's the last full week of October. I don't remember the dates. I don't really know who's here, but the keynote speaker is Diana Butler Bass. Okay. So people may want to start booking that time. It's going to fill up quickly. So as soon as announcements come out, hopefully there's some people here that will help with that. But usually some from St. Aidan's are here. I think everybody had different things to do today. So again, the last full week of October, Diana Butler Bass at Shrinemont starts on a Monday. Yeah, starts on Monday afternoon and concludes after lunch on Thursday of that week.
Well, folks, it's been a wonderful season. I'm very excited that we did 3 years of this, and it went pretty smoothly up until Terry had to do technology to share a screen, and that's why Sven is here. See, you always need a man.
Well, I would say I was planning on attending anyway. When Terry found out I was attending, she said, "Oh, good, I'm having tech issues. Can you being my?" Because I wanted to see the highlight thing, and I've enjoyed watching them after the recordings. I always get to watch them and hear about them from my sister-in-law Kate, who is often here and gets great value from the community as well.
Thank you.
It's nice to see Susan. Susan and I served on the Chenko board many years ago together.
Yeah.
It's yeah, it's nice. I see your Facebook posts, and I'm sure you see mine, but it's nice to hear your voice too.
Same here too. Yes. So, yeah, discovering things in the Diocese of Virginia now, but I still have one foot still in the camp. I work with the program committee.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if everybody is ready, Natalie, would you take us out in prayer?
Okay. Let us be silent and bow our heads, close your eyes, whatever you want to do. Dear Lord, we give you a monumental amount of thanks to you for allowing this ministry. The planners truly trust that those who have joined us have received many blessings. As we look forward to the summer season and next year, we ask that your blessings are there, that you continue to cover us, that we continue to include and look to you for our guidance and for our guidance. It's in your Son's name we give thanks and praise. Amen.
Amen.
Terry,
everybody have a I'm sorry.
Put a link in the chat for the fall camp. So if people want to copy that into their browser, they can.
Okay. Do you all see that in your chat room?
Yeah.
It probably doesn't have the current information, the 23 information on it, but you can still get some idea.
It actually does. It has Diana Butler Bass and the dates.
Hey, they're on.
Yep.
Good. Thank you. I on my phone, so it's not as easy to go check things right now.
Sure. And for those of you also on your phone, it's October 23rd to 26th. I interrupted, Terry. I just want to get that.
That's okay.
Should be an exciting time with Diana. And if you're not following her, you can just Google her and you can sign up for her free side and see if you like her free information, especially her Sunday post when she does reflection on the lectionary. She picks an item.
Terry, do you want Cherie and I to hang back after we close, and Cindy, if you'd like to hang back?
Yeah, we'll do a brief thing at the end here.
Okay.
Peace to all of you. Thank you so much. It's been awesome. Have a terrific summer. Be safe. Come back ready to share and continue your journey with us. Bye-bye.